All right, we got a fun show tonight. We got Tess and I in head-to-head battle in Crossfire, and we're going to go back to the NBA butcher shop because there's been some tasty new NBA beefs that we need to contemplate buying. So we'll get to that later. But first, look, we got to start with the big news from last night. The Warriors announced this morning that Kevin Durant will be out at least a month following a left knee injury last night versus the Wizards. He underwent an MRI last night and was diagnosed with a grade 2 MCL sprain and a tibial bone bruise. He will be reevaluated in 4 weeks, but we got to play a little 3-on-3 KD edition. Trey, you got the big cues. Hopefully we got some answers for you.
Yeah, that's right. KD's going to miss at least 15 of the Warriors' remaining 22 games, probably more, but they've got a 4-game lead on the Spurs for first in the West. So, guys, will the Dubs retain the #1 seed? What you think?
Ooh, things got a little more interesting in the West. I don't want to wish ill will on anyone, but this made the season a little bit more juicy. I do think that they hold on to it, though, mainly because Steph Curry can just go back into his role that he played last year. It's not like they have to rejig everything. Steph can go back to being MVP Steph. The usage rate goes up like it did last year. And yes, obviously there are a lot of new parts, so things are different. But as Trey said, they've got a 4-game lead, a 3-game lead in the loss column over the Spurs. And this is going to be fun for Steph. You know, again, he can be MVP Steph. Everything goes through me. The shooting has gone down a little bit this year because of everything he's had to learn playing beside Kevin Durant. And I think that gap right there is big enough, even though they do play 2 games in San Antonio later on this year.
If any team was built, honestly, to handle a loss like this, it's the Warriors.
Of course.
They got 3 all-stars, all-NBA talent there after KD goes down. And look, I think last night when we were freaking out of whether or not KD was done for the season, that's a different story, because then obviously you're wondering, wow, could they get to the finals? Could they challenge for a title? 4 weeks is the best case scenario. Now, that doesn't mean he's back in 4 weeks. He's obviously reevaluated in 4 weeks, but that should be enough time in theory that he hopefully gets a couple reps in under him before the playoffs start. And really, do they even need him back for the first round of the playoffs?
No, probably not.
They don't.
No.
I mean, and that is like, I don't mean any knock against the Nuggets or the Blazers, but the Warriors are that powerful. They would still take care of them. That second round, and when you get into obviously the conference finals, when they will need him.
And the thing is as well with the Spurs, Greg Popovich is not going to change his strategy. He's going to keep his guys rested where he can down the stretch. You know, he doesn't chase these sorts of things just to get that #1 seed. Sure, he'd like it. If it's in play maybe in the last game or 2, he might go for it then. But I think Popovich is just still going to keep doing what he's doing in San Antonio, make sure his guys are ready to go rather than worrying about what any other team is doing.
That's a good point. And the Rockets, as we showed you, they're just way too far back.
Exactly, they're not going to catch him.
I think the concern here, too, though, with the injury is, is it going to be what happened to Steph Curry last year, right? Because Steph gets injured, misses some time, that's fine, obviously right around the playoffs, and he misses a good chunk of the playoffs, and he comes back. But he was never quite the same. That'll be interesting to see with KD whenever he gets back, be it 4, 5, 6 weeks. Will he be able to just slide back in there and sort of play at 100%? Because Steph never really, truly found the form, at least for a good chunk of time after the injury.
No, but Steph got injured in the playoffs. Yep. He had to play in the postseason at some point, and they tried to be conservative and keep him out as long as possible. I think the Warriors are saying, well, at least one of our best players got injured in the regular season and not in the postseason, because Steph had to miss 6 games in the playoffs last year. And who knows, how he felt. He didn't come out and declare it during the postseason that he was hurt, but he said after it was all said and done, after 3-1 became 4-3, he did say that knee was a little bit injured. And who knows?
He looked it as well.
Yeah. He did not look right.
No.
I totally agree with you. And one thing about the Kevin Durant diagnosis, who knows if they're being totally straight with us? They have no reason to be totally straight with us. Maybe he'll be fine in 3 weeks. I mean, I know it's all sort of speculation, but I think they're being conservative, is my point.
And they can afford to be.
Yes.
Because they're 4 games up, as we showed you, and they've still got an amazing team.
Yeah, and one thing going against them, though, is that Steve Kerr said their schedule is insane. He was going to rest guys down the stretch. Maybe he does rest guys.
Right.
And like we've said about the Cavs, maybe the 1 seed isn't all that important to them because they want to be healthy. But you're right in that they're still going to win a first-round series.